Hi everybody, welcome to Control, Alt and Compete. Today we're joined by Altany Craik.
Hi there.
How are you, Altany?
Pleasure.
Do you know what I was thinking, right? When was the first time we met then?
Crikey. Well, it would be in Glenrothes, I think, when you were still in the embryonic stages, I suppose, and we were looking at esports for Fife. I think it was myself and Andrew Walker that came to visit you.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Must have come through there, so
Yeah.
it's a wee while ago.
Yeah, because I remember...
I've had COVID in between.
Because I remember a bit at, Roberts, what was it called? Battle Fife? Battle
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's where we had the first kind of wee kind of esports Scotland kind of set up in there. In Glenrothes.
It started to, from the, obviously I've played games all my life, but that's another story. But it started to be of interest, I think, and we started to speak to other people. And of course, I think it was Andrew must have found out about you and said, we want to go and meet.
Go and see
and
how
he was working in, for those who don't know, I'm a councillor at the council. So Andrew Walker's one of our economic development people.
Okay.
And he knew me and knew we talked about esports previously. And we came to see what was going on. Sadly, we've not made as much progress as I'd like.
I know.
It was,
and so you think back then, so from a council perspective then, Altany, are you always on the lookout for things that can be great for the region and I think what's upcoming? So was that or because of your personal interest in gaming? Was it a bit of both?
I think it's a bit of both there. Obviously, Andrew knew that I was interested in gaming and that had come up before. But, being a sort of outward-looking kind of chap, he'd seen the opportunity, knew that it kind of fit where we were, and we were talking about it. I think it was after we'd had the Comic-Con games
at the Rothes
Halls. I think it was just after that.
Yeah.
So we were looking to move on to the next stage.
What's next,
yeah. And that'd been such a big success. And of course, part of Glenrothes' 70th birthday, we were making moves forward. Now it's sort of come to a shuddering halt when COVID came along and knocked all the steam out of it. But I think, we're at the mercy of good officers. If you get one who's interested or sees something, an opportunity, you just sort of try and find it.
And do you think that's the way it works then, not in a case what a kind of manifesto is, I suppose? Do you think it's very dependent on the staff and what they're interested in?
I think it's one of these sort of things. The world's always changing. Things come along that didn't exist before. And I suppose given that Andrew and I are of a similar age, we'd often talked before about, spectrums and League of Legends and stuff and football and all sorts. So he was kind of aware of the games, and I think he plays some games too. So it was like, it just seemed a good fit. Let's go and see what's happening and see what we can do. And of course.
And what kind of pushback did you find then? Obviously you've got a colleague that's got similar interests. How did you find trying to talk about that internally then?
I think a lot of people think you're mad, which is, it's always good. I think that mad people get things done.
But is that a fair way to say it? There's something
I think there was some sort of, people thought, yeah, well, that's fine, but what's that got to do with the economy? What's that got to do with what's next? And then once you start to discuss the size of esports internationally and hundreds of millions of people audience watching League of Legends final or
the viewing figure,
once you start talking about multiple streams and all these numbers, people start to think, oh, all right, well, maybe I don't get it. And I think it started to come to, obviously esports is much more mature worldwide than it is here. So we're pushing to get people to understand that games aren't just a plaything. And when you consider people like Rockstar, I suppose, and Grand Theft Auto, they think, oh, crikey, there's a lot of money in that. But I don't think they make the economic connection. And obviously, as an economist, I'm like, these are things that will have value. There's no product part. It's a bit easier to just do. So, we're pushing against people who maybe hadn't played games for a long time.
And do you think it's a Scottish thing, or do you think, in the sense, we don't realise what we're sitting on, and what we think that's just a mentality thing? Because other people might look at Scotland and be like, wow, Dundee, Grand Theft Auto, all the game studios, and
I think we suffer a wee bit from embarrassment about being first or being good at something. We're sort of like,
we're good at something.
Yeah, we're not good at taking credit for what we do, and we do well, which is a bit annoying, really. But
where's that come from then?
What, the Scottish cringe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So did you make that one up? Is that a thing as well?
No, sorry, I probably just touched my mic. No, that is a thing. You talk about the Scottish cringe, people a bit funny about tartan and a bit funny about our heritage.
Hearing each other talk.
I don't like hearing myself on the telly either, so I've got a thing about that.
That needs to change. We need to sort that.
I think it's because when you and I speak like this, we're hearing the vibrated version of what we say. So we think we sound like this. But that when it's being recorded, it's different. It's not speaking through your jawbone. So it does feel different. So when you hear yourself the first time, you think, that's not me, and it takes me a while to get used to it. Obviously, I try not to listen to myself on the radio very often. So,
but even here and other Scottish people, sometimes we're all because we're all quite cliquey, and there's so many different dialects in Scotland. So even if you hear other people, you're right off the bat on it.
Yeah, I don't know if you watch Gogglebox or not.
I have.
We used to watch that with the bairns, and we still watch it occasionally.
Yeah.
And there's a Scottish couple on there, and I think the first time it was quite jarring to hear them. But actually, why would they be any more jarring than the north of England or the south of England or the West Country? So once you get over that and you're hearing the regional accents, I think we're a bit easier to
And it's weird because we could say that about all the different dialects in Scotland, but then somebody in Newcastle we wouldn't think twice about.
Yeah.
We're all on the same island though.
It's a strange thing.
It's very strange, yeah.
But the esports pushback was, how is that a sport? I think the title didn't help.
Yeah.
And then when you talk about playing games, well, how is that money? How's that the economy?
So do you think that didn't help at all? Do you think it could be called something else, maybe a bit easier then?
I think that's what it's called now, so it'd be like trying to...
I know, but do you think that's one of the things that did damage it? People gave them an easy out to say, oh, that's not an easy one to try and squash.
I think people are funny. You know, think, how's that a sport? You're sitting on your backside playing on a computer.
Yeah.
How's that a sport?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a fair point. However, it's competitive.
Not a physical sport. Yeah.
Yes, it's a cerebral thing. It's about, hand-to-eye dexterity and all the rest of it. But it is very much different from what people think of as sport. So when we talk about the health and fitness crisis that our young people face because they're not as fit as they were, or they're more sedentary, or they're not going out as much, and then we come along and say we want to talk about esports, they think, well, you're just enabling that. You're not.
Yeah.
We want them to be fit and healthy, and I think the two are not mutually exclusive. I think you can do both.
Yeah, they can still get confidence in that from esports and gaming, which then allow them to want to go and try physical sport, because there's so many people that are sitting in their bedrooms would never think about going outside.
I think the other thing, of course, when we had COVID and things had to be very different, I think playing online meant that you could play your pals anyway. And my pals are all my age, unfortunately, so we did tend to play things like Fortnite and
So you say unfortunately?
Yeah.
What do you say? Is that because they're not into gaming like you?
No, they are. Well, they're a wee bit. But what I mean is, we tend to play the same things. We're a bit stuck in this is what we play. So fair enough.
It's like music taste, really, isn't it? As you get older,
kind of. But my son plays a totally different set of games.
Right.
And he
What's he playing?
I'm not playing that with you. I have no idea. What it is just.
Is it Roblox? What age is he?
He's 26, so he plays. I mean, he has played all the. He's played League and he's played Halo and he's played all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But he doesn't play the same stuff as us. And he's like, no, it's all right. You go and
You can crack on with
you
that.
bash on and play your own. So obviously with the internet, with having fast broadband, you can play all sorts of things, and that's made a
Get
huge
it down
difference.
that quickly.
Yeah.
So tell me, Altany, how did you get into gaming? What was young Altany?
Well, there was the ZX81 came out when I was about 11, I think.
So was that the 81? Was that the first
No,
one?
so I must have been older than that then. Yeah, 81. We got them at school. No,
did you?
Oh yeah, they had them at a computer suite. And
So where was
that RAM
school then?
pack? It was our community high school. So
Right, okay.
you had a RAM pack in the back, 16K, and
Right.
those days that was. So I got a Spectrum for my Christmas probably around then, and ever since you've been playing things like Manic Miner, Lords of Midnight, all sorts of stuff. I just always played, And then obviously as you get on a bit, you're thinking, well, I'll buy a bit of computer. That's what happens. You end up with a PC, and that's it. You've got something to do forever.
It's funny when you think back. I think back at school with the floppy disk, we got taught on that. Hey,
Yeah.
you think how prehistoric it really was, even with computers then, how far it's came.
Well, do you know there was
Remember Paint?
yes.
Hours on Paint.
Oh, well, so you're obviously artistic. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Oh,
it does that.
I said, okay, hours on it. I didn't say anything good came from it.
No, it's not my area, obviously, but no, games were. You played a lot of games, and I suppose being a youngster, sort of growing up, when I did in sort of early 80s, computers weren't a big thing. They were more. You had them in your bedroom. You played with your pals, and you'd all be sat around playing Apocalypse, Lords of Midnight, Doom Dark Revenge, whatever, or Daley Thompson's Decathlon if you wanted to destroy your keyboard. Right. And you play all these things, and that's fine. And then of course you move on from playing computer games together, as opposed to playing role-playing games together. And then so they're all sort of connected and sort of along continuum. So that was kind of how we spent.
And would you say that
our teenage years?
Would you say that you still got a lot of those friends now?
Oh yeah, the same ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And do you think it was that? Do you think the game has helped keep that? I think the shared interest.
I
because
think it always
changes
helps.
and
Well, I suppose with games you can be playing something together, and you don't need to be together. That's the big win. Is you can be playing away. And I think when we started to have Discord and things like that, all of a sudden it was a very different thing. Because you're ripping the mince out of each other
online,
and you can. So that was that made a difference. So.
And you know what comes full circle? We just done our first esports camps this week, and then we had all the kids together playing. But I think you can't actually beat still having your pals next to you, looking over, having that kind of chat. Because
laughing
you
at
can
them or laughing at you because you've been killed, and
that's it. And like that class yesterday that we ran, the kids were so enthusiastic from the beginning till the end. I mean, it was Fortnite, because obviously Fortnite's changed a lot now, right? But even having the kids together, like learning to make new friends, giving them wee leadership roles, it was it was just brilliant seeing them all together, because that's. You've got to you have to make that happen. It's so easy just to go home and just sit and play, as you know.
Yeah, get plugged in and that's it. And I suppose once you have, obviously, it's an age thing, but once you've got families and once you've got other commitments for your time, so it then becomes, well, when are we going to play? And it's like, might not
so is gaming an ugly word in the house?
No, it's fine. It just needs to be scheduled. It's no longer what we're going to do, just see who's on. And no,
Saturday morning, where's Altany, just sitting gaming all day.
Well, there's been a long time since we've been able to do that.
But you do get those days, though.
I wish my life was like that.
You don't,
but not so much.
Not even maybe.
No, it's a quick game of league or something that you're trying to fit in. So, but that's life, isn't it? But no, the whole gaming continuum has changed quite a bit. I think for me, the types of games have changed quite a bit. They're a bit, I would say, better. I think they went through a phase where they were fairly, I don't want to use violent, but the topicality of them could be about shooting and killing and maiming and whatever. But I think
so
we've
Call of Duties.
I think we've come. I mean, they're fine for adults. People play them. That's fine. I play them too, so it's fine in your Xbox or your the other one,
PlayStation.
And the Wii, of course, got slightly different kind of things in the Wii, and that's fine. They're for different audiences. But I think if we're trying to say to people, gaming and esports is a career, or it's an opportunity for enhanced skills and so on, I think the menu of games that we serve to children needs to be very, very different from the menu of games that you would serve to adults. And I think that's part of it, and that's all part of the growing up that esports has been doing. I think so. It's quite. It's easier for us to discuss with other people when you're talking about Rocket League, and it's been on the BBC. So how hard can that be? You've got that level of credibility.
To get that across for them,
So we managed to get it.
We managed to get it broadcast on the BBC, and I think during COVID as well, they took a stream of it. But non-violent games is once again.
And it's more, I see how this could work. I'm not sure people understand that there's whole professions in there.
No. That
professional players are professional players. I don't think they understand that yet in the general population, but obviously those of us who play know what it's like.
Well, we've had some professional players on, and when you listen to them, the dedication that they actually take with it is very serious. And it doesn't even sound fun. But when people play at that kind of high level, then it isn't. It's serious, and it's very competitive.
It's their profession. And they make some. That's going to be their career for however long it lasts. I suppose it's a bit like footballers. Take it very, very seriously because they know it's finite. I'm not sure what it's like we've not had that generational esports thing to see yet, whether people are still involved in the game. They maybe not be playing on the stage, but they may be in the background managing teams, working with people, developing, so coaching. I've seen all of that coming.
Yeah, we've seen it. The guy Adam Ryan that we've got on is an EFC player, but he also does coaching as well on the side. He's also doing some college lecturing as well. So we're at that stage now where these players are starting to get it as a career as well.
And understanding that it's more than just the game itself. It's all the other stuff that goes with it. And we're sitting here, obviously, and we've got sound and we've got lighting and we've got set, and all of these things are the same as in television interview. Same as in broadcast media, and you're learning all the same skills. So to understand the ecosystem around gaming and esports it's all of these things. And I think we need to be able to promote that better.
Yeah, we should. And we've got people that we know. Billy Purdy from Dundee, and she worked with us, and then she's now working with Riot, and she's moved to Germany. And they're all out there. There's a Scottish contingent out there doing the casting. For Valorant. Where do you see on? And I'm quite interested, obviously, because of your job. What do you think other councillors are talking? Do you think Scotland, in a sense, it's just so different council to council, right? So
I think I suppose I could roll it back a little bit. Obviously, we were interested quite early on, and we've probably not managed to get to where I would look for it to be. We had November rain and all, and there is some gaming going on in a Fife context, and it's doing away. It's doing fine. The bit that comes after that, though, was, well, how did we take the next step? But I saw your podcast with Ewan from Borders, Ewan Jarden, We myself and a couple of other councillors visited Borders to talk about one-to-one devices. That's about getting every child their own iPad or Chromebook, whichever.
Yep.
We've gone for that. We've decided iPads and we're rolling that out. And I think that technology enablement, if you like, will start to move us along that. And I spoke to Ewan when I was there. I said, I don't know how it came up, but esports came up. And he says, we've done... I had to smile sweetly, but I was really quite jealous, to be fair, because they've made many more steps forward than we have.
Yeah, massively.
But the good thing is that we can learn from that and say, well, how can Fife College help to get the courses in place and the staffing in place to develop it? Or do we start talking about how do we do an esports league? I did find my esports Scotland pin badge there that I meant to bring it with me. I was obviously running about this morning. But how do we then make something for Fife by learning from what Borders have done? If Borders have done it and Dundee have done it, it can be replicated.
That's what my belief is.
I think we can get there.
Yeah.
But it's just, I suppose it's timing.
Do you think it's timing, or do you think it's people maybe, even once again, not throwing anyone under the bus, do you think it's because of the backing he's had, Ewan, been able to get more people that they get it?
I think timing's probably more. It just depends where you are on the sort of the journey and depends what other pressures are on at the time. I suppose esports would be seen as a luxury product, I suppose. A luxury project. If you're looking at, you've got a housing emergency just now, you've got difficulties making sure the kids are fed during the summer holidays, you're looking to try and fit things on, but it can't be done in a vacuum. So we need to say, well, how does it fit through our schools? How do we get it attached to the curriculum, or how do we do it as part of the curriculum? I think 2 steps are different. Start having esports clubs, start getting kids doing it more at school, and then we'll start to have the drive for, well, we need more in the school, we need it on the curriculum, then we need it at the college. And that you've built your audience, I suppose.
And all the people that have been doing it for a long time, they see the benefits of it, and even attendance records. Because they're certainly not coming into school; they're coming into school now.
But it's about engagement because they're interested in that. Now, if they're going to learn things like teamwork or communication or working together, then they'll do that in an esports environment, and they'll not even know they're learning it. They'll just be doing it, as opposed to trying to manufacture wee projects for people to do. You can embed it as part of just the thing they're interested in. So we're at a very interesting place, I think. Post-COVID, we've come out of that. We're moving to a new space. The next space for us as Fife was to do the one-to-one devices.
Right.
Get all our primary 6 to 6th year, get them all their own device, start to embed digital learning as a supportive part of learning, and then we started to, and then what?
So here's what's quite different. It's because obviously even when Microsoft Teams came out, I heard that was a big thing for the government to put something with the one thing out, right? Why is it there's not more of the one thing out, and it's down to each council deciding the things like that?
I think,
does that make sense? Like,
I could be quite parochial about it, because generally anything that comes from government is usually rubbish, right? So they usually get it wrong, and they try and make one size.
Why do they get it wrong?
Because they try to do it from the top down. Instead of saying, what do you need? They say, this is the problem we think we're trying to solve, this is it solved, as opposed to saying, what's the problem you're trying to solve? What are the difficulties that you face? Glasgow's very different from us, very different from Edinburgh, very different from Borders. How do we need a framework.
What do you mean? Why? Okay, and when you say they're very different,
geographically they're very different. Obviously, if you're in the city, it's one thing. You've got a concentration, and you've got, for example, in terms of if you took 1 million people that live in Glasgow, and we're talking about esports.
Is that what it is? Is that 1 million people in Glasgow?
Near enough,
right?
Okay. So say there's 1 million people in Glasgow, it's probably 900,000.
Yeah.
Say that's what you've got, and you say, right, okay, maybe 1 or 2% interest in esports. That's still quite a lot of people. So you can do something there. Whereas if you said it's 1 or 2% of people in Fife, Fife, which is a mixed geography, you're talking, well, there's only 350,000 people in Fife, so it's not the same concentrated audience to do something, for example. So no, they're not the same, but I think Teams was a good choice. Wasn't perfect, but it allowed government to function. But now we're using it for all sorts of things. We're saying, right, well, I don't need to travel so many places. I can just
you can go on Teams.
You've got 10 minutes to hop on Teams, and you can still see each other. I think it works for people you know. I'm not so sure it's very good for building relationships with people you don't know.
It's definitely not good for building relationships.
People are people. So yeah, I think when you have a top-down solution, it generally isn't as effective, because we've got 32 local authorities, and they're all a wee bit different from each other. Some are similar in some bits. So rather than go that way, find out what the problem is we're trying to solve first. But we do join up stuff.
But you think of the concentration in Scotland. I've seen something on Facebook, and it was one of these images, and it was just showing you the kind of, basically we're mostly Highlands, we're mostly vastness. You're just talking about Glasgow,
it's all in the middle,
and then just going up the coast. So
that's where people live.
We're not even that much to. So
The central belt is 3/4 of the people. Right, between Edinburgh, Glasgow, Fife and the Lanarkshires, that's it, it's 3/4 of us. And then the rest is up the coast to Aberdeen, Dundee, Angus, that coastline. But you're right, there's not.
But when you come to different, what quite annoying is when you come to different tablets. I mean, hopefully, when you've got an Apple tablet and an Android tablet, is there not going to be issues when they're not going to be able to talk? I mean, that's like a.
No,
In some ways.
In some respects, I think the way we've done it is that local authorities are buying what suits them best. It depends what they already have, of course. If you've got something, or say you've got 10,000 Chromebooks already, you might decide actually for us to give one-to-one devices, we'll go Chromebook because we've got this. When we were looking at it, it was what offered us the most customization, accessibility, because we were starting from a fairly not far back, but the post-COVID stuff was coming to an end anyway. So it was a blank sheet of paper. Said, well, what do we want? And it turned out actually there was very little difference in the price when you're buying them at scale.
And so, what's the difference then with the kids getting a Chromebook rather than going with pen and paper? What's the thinking behind it?
Well, the two are. I suppose it's. I saw a photograph of Harvard in the 1950s.
Right.
Man at the front.
Yep.
I say man, but lecturer at the front, rows and rows of kids.
Yep.
Well, students. And then they showed you the same thing in 2020. Person at the front, rows and rows. It hasn't moved on very much, but it has. Education has moved on very much. So why did we pick the Apple? Because we felt that it was the most effective for engagement. Kids like it. They prefer it rather than a keyboard. You and I use a keyboard, I would imagine. But this generation, they don't. They've been swiping and touching screen. You put in a laptop in front of them with touching the screen.
Talking to it.
Yeah, and saying, why is it not doing what I wanted to do? Because it's not the right tool. You need the tool that fits the generation you're talking about. Now, we'll find 10 years from now, we might be in a totally different place. Technology moves very quickly. But we felt it was the best choice when you add in things like Apple Classroom and the accessibility options for deaf, dyslexia, that kind of stuff. But the price was pretty close. So then it worked out, it was quite good.
And do you think then, you mentioned COVID a few times, do you think that helped doing that because suddenly because maybe there's some kids that they could access the computers at school but they might live in poverty.
Didn't have it at home. Yep. I think it allowed us to do things that we were never in a position to do before. It was too hard, it was too difficult, or it was
too much.
Well, it was just we weren't capable to do it. But COVID came along and you had to get capable. So the kids still had to get education, we still had to find materials, we still had to do all of that. So that meant technology was then embedded and we were trying to get people devices and we were trying to get them out. It wasn't ideal, didn't work particularly well in all places, but it did tell us where we were going. So then because we're not first. That's the other thing I find
just going to ask you that.
We're not first, we're about 10th. So there are a whole load of people who've done it. You and people in Borders, they were on the refresh. They'd already done it once and they were refreshing them. So we took a lot of learning from that. We've met with them a number of times and had visits.
That's good to hear.
And that was us. Found something that worked, and it wouldn't have happened. I suppose it wouldn't have happened without the dogged determination of the education scrutiny person, because she'd said, "I want to do this. I think we should be doing it." And I was like, "Where am I going to find that amount of money?" Borders have done it, so we went to visit Ewan Ewans, the Conservative leader of Borders. It's a good introduction. We met these people, and we thought, you know what? Let's just see if we can do this.
And so who's on? So how many people have done it then in Scotland? How many regions do you know have done it?
About 10, I think. We're about 11th.
And how many is there?
32.
32.
So it's coming, but people they're in different stages. They're not everybody's done the same thing, which is part of meeting what you already have. So yeah, it's exciting.
And
times.
so would you think then, as much as you go to Borders to look, do you ever look outside the UK? Do you ever look down south, or is there any other countries that are?
I think it depends what it's for, but yes, because of European projects, you've got friends in all sorts of places. Now, we may not be in the European Union anymore, but we're still European. So if you're dealing, for example...
The Nordics are quite...
Well, we deal with Norway, I was in Oldenburg in Germany, just in June there, because we're part of the North Sea Commission. So you're meeting people all the time from different places, and I think not being shy to ask, oh, how did you do that? Oh, can we set up a Teams call with the right people? Because I might not be the right person, but I know the person who is. So you then put them in touch with them and try to take the learning from what's there. So there's nothing off the table.
Just what you mentioned there about asking, do you think people are kind of frightened to ask, or they don't want to ask, or it may look like they're bad at their job to ask, or do you think?
No, I don't think we've got that. I think people, they might be busy at their job and they may spend less time looking up and looking out, but No, I think a lot of our staff, and particularly management and people who are looking to develop things, are looking out. They're scanning. It's always an environment scanning, saying what's happening elsewhere, who's doing it, who's getting it right. Because that's the, if the gap between our attainment and achievement is this much, and someone else has got it narrowed right down. So what did they do differently? You might find it's taken them 10 years to get there. Well, okay, how can we shortcut that? But that's about learning from each other, and I think I suppose that's why I'm a wee bit jealous of UN and Borders, because they've already done the start of the esports stuff. So we're sort of playing catch up.
But that can only be good if somebody has done it for the first time, and once again they've got learnings there.
Well, we're going to visit. Funnily enough, I've got a visit arranged to go and see UN at the start of the next term. So
is there any way you could invite everyone? It's not on you to do it, right? But once again, is there any, do you know if there's? You don't have to say their names, but do you know if any other regions are thinking about it?
I don't know. I haven't. It isn't at the top of a bubbling pile of everybody wants to do it. That doesn't mean they don't. It just means it's not public, I suppose. And political parties are funny things because you talk about all sorts of stuff, but I haven't had anyone else talking about esports.
So what are political parties that you're from yourself then?
I'm a Labour councillor. Yeah.
But then you go, so you've got Labour and Conservative working together.
I just, if somebody's doing it right, then it'll work better for us, then we'll do it. But I think the outside world of when people look in on politics, what you get is the Punch and Judy of Prime Minister's questions.
Because you see, because they market it like that. Because you got Westminster and you've got them all sitting shouting each other across a.
You've got this kind of adversarial part, and that's fine. But the downside of that is they don't realise that most of the time, actually, you're working with people rather than parties, and you're just trying to fix things. At a local government level, it's more practical, so we solve problems. And sometimes you're working with a Liberal, sometimes as a Conservative, sometimes SNP. It doesn't make any difference once there's not an election on. Although once we get into the chamber for Fife Council, you'd think we'd never liked each other in the first place. So it is a bit performative.
Would you say, in a sense, do you think people become the party? Do you think once you get in there, you become and you start to think, or do you always have your same beliefs, or have you ever felt like thinking, I don't actually agree with that, but I'm part of the party and I have to.
I do that all the time. Yeah. Sorry.
So should we scrap a lot of parties?
No, I think parties give the population an idea of what to expect. We were talking about politics rather than these sports, but it gives people an idea of what to expect. Well, it certainly is. Whereas if you're all independents, then how do you know they might believe some strange stuff that you don't? So I think I always think of political parties are a bit like public transport. They'll not come right to your door, but they'll get you most of where you think you want to go. So there'll be things you disagree about. Well, I disagree with the party. Being in the Labour Party is quite a good thing. You can disagree all the time you like. So we're not very disciplined in that respect. But
that's a good thing, no?
I think it's a good thing. I'm paid to think. I'm not paid to just say yes. So I tend to do my own thinking. But it will be within a framework. And there'll be a lot of things I agree with. And then there'll be things they do and I think, what on earth are you doing that for? And I'm not shy about saying so.
Well, listen, it's been great having you on, and it's great.
So you're half hour already, Craik.
You and yourself, I think hopefully more people will follow suit. Hopefully that kind of domino effect then would be great.
Well, hopefully we can get some more people to visit you and the Borders.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pick up then.
So
good stuff.
Go to the Borders.
Go to the Borders.
Visit the Borders. Thank you very much,
Thanks very much. No problem.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.